So we just had to we just had to go from somewhere else and do it. So other than that, we're here. We're doing a thing. Welcome to the Dev and the Gamer. I have no idea what episode this is. I have to go back. Maybe it's like episode 16, 17, something like that. Somewhere around there. Because we go so far in between. And we want to talk about a couple of things that is big in the news and some things that might not be. Just try to go and test your mind. I did a video. I'm working double overtime on these YouTube and streaming streets because I did a video with Livewire Pred and Lemon, and we just had to kind of throw a little jab at those out there that was the naysayers that was talking about the whole PCs thing and PlayStation games going to PC and how that's all falling apart for some of their narratives. But other than that, we got to keep it more subdued here. So and I really do want to hear Don's thoughts about this because I think the whole gaming internet, social media has kind of just got thrown back because once you hear something from a certain group of people, people tend to just believe it, and it comes to see that there's some other people that really got upset about Death Stranding going to the PC. So I don't know. Let's go ahead and start that off right now. Get that out.
So we're gonna start. We're gonna start with that.
Yeah,
is that what we're doing?
Well,
okay.
We can go ahead and start with that. I mean, no. First off, no, because I forgot. Let's talk about this whole little situation with Compulsion Games. My man Op, he's always investigating stuff. My boy Operations Op from Dev and the Gamer. From GRG,
mm-hmm.
He was going and he was looking at some stuff about Compulsion Games, and there was a tweet that popped up that somebody asked Compulsion Games, "Hey, when is your next game supposed to be coming out? Haven't heard anything about it." Then Compulsion Games, somebody from there said, "It's gone gold." Then the person put eyeballs and was like, yo. And then next thing, right after that, it was like, oh, I'm just kidding. And then there was nothing else to be said. But then that kind of caused a little bit of attention, but not too much because of the fact that it's one of those.
Did the tweet disappear?
No, the tweet hasn't disappeared yet. So that's the one thing. But like I said, it didn't gravitate. So it's kind of like one of those things. Like if it starts getting a little bit more, it getting pushed around and got retweeted, and then people started talking about it, and if it disappears, then we know that there's something up. Or it could have been the guy was just playing, but it could also be one of those things where, hey, who knows? The question I have for you, and this is just speculation, but do you think that maybe Compulsion Game could have that AAA game already ready to be shown at XO 19?
Well, yeah, first off, before I answer that question, so everyone that's tuning in here, obviously there's a new look to Devin the Gamer.
Yes.
I noticed the chat that we worked on earlier is not showing up on the right-hand margin, but keep in mind that is going to change next time we go live. We'll probably do it some other time, probably early next month. So just a little heads up on the housekeeping stuff. But, well, a couple things to address. I mean, that's not something you just slip up on Twitter, man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of know that's not something you should be doing. You get where I'm going with that?
Oh yeah, no, I got what you're saying.
Yeah, so that I don't know. That I think definitely as somebody in my position, like and the dance that I have to do with people I podcast with and stuff like that, and I hold back when we talk and stuff like that. That's a big one just to let it something's gone gold on Twitter. So that just seems a little bit off to me, to be totally frank with you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think Xbox has got some sort of surprise for XO? Well, we've been told that they've been holding back, and they were told they really want to make XO a bigger deal than it was last time around. So is Compulsion the one up for that? That's a hard one to believe too, as well. To be honest with you, not that they're not a capable studio, but they released a game not too long ago, right? And they
Right.
just now are starting to get funding from Microsoft, and who knows, they've been working on something earlier, but they just finished something that was, in their service where you can play it before it's ready. So that one seems a little bit off in regards to, I think that's more of just kind of joking around and realizing that was in bad taste. I would say that's much easier to believe than something else, but it's all speculation, of course, right?
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, it is all speculation, but I don't know though. I mean, it could be one of those things where they got like, I got you, and why would you slip like that? I mean, you didn't even have to say anything. The only thing you could have said was, "Hey, no, not no, no news now," or something like that. But I don't know. I have no idea. But I mean, look, We Happy Few. The people that's actually played it. I haven't played We Happy Few. When I very first seen the trailer a couple of E3s ago, it looked really cool. It kind of had that Bioshock feel to it, and so
Yeah.
I was kind of like, oh man, this could be something that I could be really interested in. But then when everybody else played it, like I remember Livewire, he's beat it already. He told me how it's not like that. It's completely different. So it kind of like I'll probably check it out some other time. But for the people that's played it and stuck with it, they actually like the game. So and who's to say? I mean, a lot of these studios have been working on multiple titles. So it could be that they were already pretty close to being done, and
Well,
this might
if
be
it's
done yet, but it could be something that where it could be available for at least to be shown and to be talked about.
well, if it was an actual leak, it would be intentional, right? Like kind of like testing the water sort of thing,
Yeah.
like intentional leaks. Those things do happen; they occur. I've worked at big businesses. That's a real thing. It is something that drive interest or get a little bit of an idea, or the people that are in the know. But that's the only way this would be real in my mind, is if it's an intentional leak that just didn't catch fire. Um, but I just think it was a joke out of bad taste, to be
Oh,
honest
really? You
with
think
you.
it was a
Yeah,
joke?
yeah, and then not realizing their position, or because when the thing is, like, when I've talked to people in the industry, like, people just forget when you're in the industry, and especially when you say you're from X company, when you talk, you're to somebody, you're not talking to your friend. Like when I talk to K Mega on Twitter, I'm not just talking to K Mega on Twitter. I'm talking to the whole world and whoever's watching, right? So yeah, I just don't. I don't see somebody that works at a studio, just been acquired by Microsoft, didn't let anything spill about them being acquired. To be honest with you, to let this one slip, it just doesn't. It's a hard one to believe, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
No, I mean that's totally understandable. That's why I kind of wanted to talk about it real fast. So just to get your point of view on it, I mean, look, it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, it would be cool to know that they would already have something already out or getting ready to come out, maybe sometime next year or 2021. But if not, then they don't. But we do know that they'll be working on something. So, yeah, I mean, could be just could be bad character or whatever. But yeah, that's fine. I know that I said, man, you're gonna get. I told Op, I said, man, you're gonna get those people in trouble because he tagged Phil. And so, so said,
don't do that,
I'm
man.
like, don't do that. It's too late. He says, you want me to delete it? Too late. It's already tagged. So, so that's what I'm saying. So, like, if we do see something that's deleted, then we know that something is up. But then again, they could just leave it up because, like I said, it didn't get a lot of attention. But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty interesting.
I kind of like. I think when people like that kind of screw up, and it's like you ever see somebody like have a scratch on their car. They get some touch-up paint. They think they're fixing the scratch, and it makes it look like more like ass than the scratch does.
Oh, yes.
We've seen that, right?
Yes.
And I think sometimes too, like when something like that doesn't catch a lot of fire, but it's a little bit of a nick. Think of it as a scratch, right? But when you delete it, sometimes it's just really the bad touch-up paint. It just makes it look worse, right?
Right.
So it's I don't know. I don't think they're ready for something, and I have all the faith they'll make a better game they ever have with Microsoft, but I just don't see that them having something ready after We Happy Few being in game preview. I mean, you got to remember, game like We Happy Few didn't just release a title; it was in game preview before it was released. So we keep thinking it was been out for a lot longer, but the official title hasn't been out for that long.
No, you're really right.
Think about it.
No,
so
you're right.
So I just have a hard time imagining, even with all the upstaff and getting a new idea and getting something rolling, they're in that position. But I could be wrong, and more games the better, right? I mean, we all know Microsoft can use some more games, but I also think the timing's a little weird too with the new consoles around the corner, that they would release something before E3-ish. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. If you get where I'm going with that.
No, I know. I got what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's my take on it. I mean, everyone's entitled to a different take. I don't want to take that away from anyone, but it's just a hard one to believe in my position, I would say.
No, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I kind of look at it from both ends, kind of like it is what it is. I mean, if they have something, then they don't. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Is it part of you that wants it to be something?
It does, because
right.
Then that would kind of alleviate a lot of people's anxieties about Xbox not showing something maybe a little bit beforehand, or just letting Xbox fans know, hey, look, there's something right there already being shown. So maybe that the reason why they didn't show anything, because they didn't have anything ready to go, and maybe this would be the first thing that could get that whole thing started by showing a little snippet of something from Compulsion Games, and then that's like, wow. So that's from them. That means that everything else is just getting ready to start rolling. So but like I said, if not, then there's no big deal, because I mean, I've kind of gotten used to how the Xbox has been doing their games, how they kind of just don't want to show nothing too early. So I don't know, but a lot of fans want to see something. They want to see something, kind of early, maybe a year out or something like that. And I don't think Xbox really wants to do that. But who knows? That was just a little something to talk about before.
It's under the radar. No one's really talking about it.
Yeah, nobody talked about it, so it is what it is. All right, so cool. Now, all right, so you know what? Let's do the Death Stranding thing a little bit later. Let's talk about something that some people, when they talk about this individual, they talk about him in different ways. That's not always. How should I put it? Help me out, Don.
Who we're talking about?
Phil.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I just gave away the punchline.
You did.
Yeah.
Like when the people talk about Phil Spencer, a lot of people really just don't talk about him in a positive light. And it's not like we're going to be here just kind of
mixed bag,
kissing
right?
the man's ass. I'm just saying, like, it's basically, maybe there's people that really don't know that much about him, or they might be curious, but they just have this thought process, because maybe he's not the gamer that some people think he is. Maybe he wants to destroy Xbox. That's what a lot of people like to say. I don't know, Don. What is your thoughts about Phil Spencer, and give me the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. What is your whole thoughts about it?
I mean, I want to be very clear. I mean, because I don't want to misrepresent the guy in any sort of way, and I don't think that's very, very fair. But, and this is kind of a lumping people together sort of thing. I've worked with corporate heads in the past, right? Mm-hmm. Before I had my sponsorships and before I was game development, I was working, for this company, and amongst many other companies, we had this, partnership. And I remember going on a bike ride with the CEO, and we had a big group bike ride with all these people. And he came up to me, pretended like he didn't know who I was, all this sort of stuff, mm-hmm. and tried to be all super down to earth. And he really was kind of a down to earth person when you really got to know him. But I didn't know at the time he knew exactly who I was. He knew exactly where I worked, how big that company was for them as far as a partnership was goes. And he was also planting the seeds to have me work for him. All in one foul swoop. We're just on a bike ride. And that's kind of how corporate heads think. I think everything that Phil does, I think people look at the short-term results of things. I don't think they look at the long-term results of things, right? When you look at just how he gets along with certain people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when people are all like, "Oh, it's all kumbaya," and they're getting along, and you know, their competition and all that sort of stuff. He was trying to strengthen relationships. If you look at the roadmap, he was trying to plan out, okay, hey, we're not in good with a lot of some developers, right? We have a negative, you know, not every developer is cozy with us. If you get where I'm going, like
Right.
they kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
they have a partnership because they have to, not because something they look forward to sometimes. So that whole like getting along with everybody, doing all that sort of stuff, that was a much brighter message to all the talent that was out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once he had the opportunity to expand his studios, now you start seeing, okay, he started these studios, is it a little too late? Well, now you start seeing talent from all these, I would say, studios that may have not signed up for Xbox's new studios, all of a sudden start now wanting to work for Microsoft. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't remember at the earlier this generation, you know, a lot of the negative vibe wasn't just certain gamers on a particular platform. It wasn't just media. There was a certain part of the development community that wasn't happy with Microsoft either. And a lot of times people don't realize that, and that's how a lot of those negative articles would come about, you know, as far as major media outlets and stuff like that. So I look at everything he does, he's planting seeds for moves down the road. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes perfect
And
sense.
that's how I kind of view the guy. In regards to that, he's a nice guy, but he's about his business, right? Like, and that's, you know, he's not unique in that sense. Where I think a lot of corporate people, they think that way. They think about partnerships. They think about, you know, who, you know, because a lot of times business is, you know, golf games and handshakes, right? He's doing the golf games and handshakes. He's getting people basically on Microsoft's side, getting people excited about everything that he has planning on doing. If you look at, like, people are like, oh, they wanted to do studios first. You know, they should have done studios first. I mean, I don't disagree with not wanting more games sooner, but if you look at going into next generation, you look at what the Microsoft ecosystem is and what it is as a platform. It is hardware. It's the same hardware you can buy is now is the hardware they're going to put it, you know, based on what you're seeing on Xbox One S and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardware that's eventually going to go into the server racks. So that same hardware they're developing, they're also developing for their streaming service, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they coincide. That's why they help each other instead of working against one another, right? You know, you look at a PC, you know that's just another viable platform that they pretty much own, as far as all that stuff is concerned. And so the next thing you know, you go into next generation, you also have Game Pass, you have all these things in place. So basically you can take risk on certain games you normally wouldn't have taken a risk on, do something unique in the gaming space, and it can find its success, right? Because you have all these avenues for games to be successful, to find different audiences and different means for, you know, developers, but for gamers to be able to invest, right? You know, it could be a service, it could be purchasing the game outright, it could be buying a physical copy, it could be, just buying a phone and, you know, and having your controller connect to it. I mean, the platform is going to be huge day one, as soon as it releases. I mean, that's what I don't think a lot of people realize. But those are all moves that he made ahead of time before you start doing all the big investments in studios, and then those big investments in studios are going to be able to have a good safety net. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think the jabs at Phil, in the sense of the games not being presented and kind of like how the rocky start was. I think all those things were pretty much warranted. I'm not saying like the hate speech. I don't ever think that anybody should be disrespected and then some of those stupid gifts and things like that. But I'm saying that some of the messaging behind,
you talk about the gotcha moments.
The things that Phil went corporate and he didn't, you know what I'm saying, and he had to. There was no way of trying to, to try to come out and just say, hey, look, shit's looking bad right now. You just got to be patient, because that's not going to fly. Not with the publishers, not with the people that's ahead of him and all of that. So and that's not going to go well with the gamers. So he had to put the spin, and now as we see the fruits of the labor by acquiring all those studios, which it's funny to me when you see that there's so many that these so-called gamers, they get like, well, where's the games? You got all these studios, but where's the games? Everybody knows that these games are not made overnight, because you, for one, has been talking about one game that has been in development ever since last gen, and you're not going to get it until sometime in the next 8 months. So
no,
yeah, so that's the thing. So it takes so games take a long time to make. And then, especially like if you go back to the Last Guardian, that game was 10 years in development, and really, it can be whatever you want to say about that, but these things take time, and especially what gamers has been asking for from Xbox this generation, it just hasn't came to the point to where it did what it was supposed to do for its successor that did so much. So again, it is what it is. He just had, Phil Spencer had to walk a tightrope. But now I think that he's out here strutting his stuff. He feels a little bit more confident now that people are going to start seeing his vision. I think people will start appreciating the things that Xbox had to go through in order to get to a better spot as Xbox gamers, and just as gamers in general that just likes playing games.
Fair criticism, and I would say this is something that and he's mentioned this before. Like he learns when he made mistakes, or he looks retroactively. Maybe I would have done that better. I like this is me, and I've been very, very vocal about this. I don't like things being shown too far in advance, right? Because games change, expectations change. You have to scale games back. You're aiming for the stars. Games get canceled. Games get postponed. There's multiple reasons why I'm not a fan of showing stuff that far out. Because to be honest with you, everything's going to change. It doesn't matter if it's a Nintendo game, Xbox game, or a PlayStation game. That game is going to change if it's shown 2 or 3 years out. It's just not going to be the same product they showed off on E3's show floor. Mm-hmm. So I love the fact that he's showing out late and he's all about his business, in regards to that. But I think that mentality should have eased into it a little bit more. Yeah. Is the way I would look at it, because what it did is it created this dry spell of these core gamers that want very particular style games, and they were given no indication that that's coming down the road, right? And so now what you're doing is you're trying to build up that faith amongst those gamers from a year in, year out basis, right? And in those gamers' minds, they've lost patience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
So I think I would have eased into the position that he's in the position he has taken. I do like where he's going with that. I love the fact that we're not showing games too far out. I want basically all platforms to do that, and get more back to when you show a product, that's the product you get. So that's kind of my take on it. But I don't know. There's a lot of things you can say about Phil, but I just think he just always constantly plants seeds, and I think those things are just now starting to come together.
Yeah, no, I mean, as a person, I got to. He seems very genuine. Like, I mean, he was a nice guy. Like I was saying something when I met him. at Game Fest, and
Mm-hmm.
Southbound, Tim Dog, Megatron, those guys are the guys. And you know what? I give a lot of props to Southbound, Megatron, and to Tim Dog, because those guys are really, really good dudes. They're really humble acting guys, and you don't understand how their clout is. Like, it's crazy what their clout is. Like, hey, this is that. And so, and the same thing happened to me, that happened to you. Like, he introduced me to Phil, and then Phil's like, I know who he is, because I said, oh yeah, I'm K-Mac, but I was like, I told him my real name, and he was like, no, I know who you are. And then, we took a picture together, and then he shook my hand, and he started smiling, and then he shoulder blocked me. Like, it was crazy. Like, oh shit. So I was like, whoa. And it just cool. You could tell that he enjoys it. Of course, he's been out there all day. He's kind of tired, but he introduced his family. Like who does that in the corporate business?
Well, I don't know about the family part of it, but the fact is,
no,
that shows you the whole thing. Like, they know
right.
who people are. I mean, I don't know if they really know who I am, but they know who people are
right.
out there in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't realize that, but people that are in a position like Phil is, or any other leadership within Xbox,
mm-hmm.
They got their finger on who's out there and what people are saying. They may not always agree with what's being said out there,
right.
or wish they could counteract what is being said. But they know what's going on. They may play even completely oblivious at times, but they know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, no, I no doubt about it. I mean, even the PlayStation fans, I'm pretty sure, PlayStation fans, they talk, and I'm sure that those executives definitely listen. I mean, we got to know that they got to know the temperature in the room of their hardcore.
Oh yeah, they've always been interactive,
right?
Like, a lot of their moves, a lot of the things they present out there is, they've had their finger on the pulse too, and placing bets in different areas, right? But
yeah,
they've been listening to their fan base, and that's why you get certain things that are out there. Far as a studio, I think one of the reasons why you get certain things introduced and then certain things get postponed within a couple weeks later, that was all reactionary, I think, to the general populace that loves the platform, and it's really just kind of get you guys excited. You agree if it being the right or wrong way, but I mean that's them having their finger on the pulse and paying attention to what's going on. So.
Yeah, no. When I say family member, I'm talking, when he says family, I'm not saying the whole family was there. I'm just
I know his daughters were there. He made a big deal of that,
but
right?
that's what I'm saying. Like, who does that? Like, he still introduced.
Yeah,
he still introduced her, and I'm kind of like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like, and that's just with, and you could tell, like, everybody else around in that ecosystem is kind of all like that. Like, they are so interactive with you. Like, I mean, there was the lady, I can't think of her name, but she was on stage and she was talking about Game Pass at the E3 event, and I just
I kind of picture what she looked like,
the African American lady. And so
yeah.
And so I seen her, and then I was like, hey, how you doing? And then she just walked up and said, hey, how do you like it? You like? And then we started talking about Game Pass, and then she talked about how she was nervous, and because it was her first time on stage and all this stuff. And then we just had like a conversation. I'm like, wow. But then when I met, like, I'm going to butcher his last name, but Kareem, what is his? How you say his last name? The guy who made the.
We were talking about, you guys practically have the same first name.
Yeah, we got the same first name, and he was tripping about like that, like, wow, like, what I'm saying? He says, I'm a Kareem from Ohio, you're a Kareem from Oklahoma, that is crazy. And he introduced me to like all types of people. Like, it was just crazy. He was like, no, you stick it with me. And I'm just like, these are people that's making all this money. They don't know me from Adam, but they are so nice. Like, it's like, I mean, it feels genuine. It doesn't. I mean, running into Shannon Loftus and how genuine and I mean, it's crazy. Like, I understand that there could be some of these people that may put on an act, but when you were in that atmosphere with these people, it just makes gaming feel so much more.
Let's talk about
wonderful.
Shannon a little bit. Like so, like obviously there's some people that have some negative outlook on her and stuff like that, but I think. I mean, you experienced. You've been around her.
Yeah.
She's a totally different person than what people think she
cool
is, right?
Hell, yeah.
Like, she may not express herself the best way on certain social media sites.
She's passionate.
She's passionate.
But she's passionate. She's
passionate. And I don't really agree with her on a lot of her views, but
right.
But at the end of the day, she's making content for us, right? Like, and once you get past all the differences, like me and Megan have a lot of differences between one another.
Yes.
Right. But what brings us together is gaming, right? And that's what the thing is. That's what E3 is about. And that's, I mean, these people work all day in secret about what they're working on, and they're just excited to share, right? And they're always excited to share, and they're excited about what they weren't able to show, there. And they're excited about what the new hardware is going to be and what that's going to bring to the table and what's going to enable for creators. Like, they're just excited about that stuff all the time. I've been in that environment where you work, and I still am in that environment when on the development side where you're working on things and all you want to do is just show off what you're working on, but it's just not ready, right? And so E3 is that moment for them. And I wish Sony doesn't have to do it the same way Microsoft does, but I would like to see a little bit more of that fanfare and a little bit more of that connection on that side. I mean, both of us I think both me and you both own a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, so we've been part of the platform.
Yeah, I've owned a PlayStation. Right? I've owned every PlayStation.
I mean, I have a PS4. I mean, I don't play it a ton, but I do own it, right? So
support it.
So I mean, that's I don't know. I think that people just don't know who they're talking to a lot of times, and I think a lot of times they misjudge individuals within the industry, and don't do that, man. You guys have more. You guys have more in common than you guys realize.
Absolutely. Like, I mean,
out there.
Like, I mean, I seen Def Jam Bam. I don't know. Let me be country, but I see my brother in there, and he's played games with Phil, and you know what I'm saying, and like that's crazy. Like, I mean, I know PlayStation fans would love to have the opportunity to play with Yoshida and play with the people that used to be there. If there was Sean Layton that was there at the time or whatever, that's the thing. It's just that's why I've tried to make the point of saying, look, man, if you can go to E3. It's not only it's the whole atmosphere. Like, you don't have time to really be paying attention to social media and all the garbage that comes out from some of these people's mouths, because everybody is out there talking about games, and you would be very surprised of how personable a lot of those developers are. Like, it's crazy. They kind of like almost sometimes throw themselves at you because you're interested in their product, in their work. And that's the thing that I value the most. So when people say, "Oh, Mega, you're a corporate slave because you just want these," no, I mean, these people work hard for their craft, and then when you see the result when you're playing that game in whatever box that you're playing it in, I know that has to make those people feel great, So, and then for the people that's in charge of them, like we're talking about Phil Spencer, I know we kind of stepped away from that, but it's I know it's got to feel good to them to know that there's a strong fan base out there that loves games and is passionate as they are, because they want to give us the best product available. That goes for PlayStation, that goes for Nintendo, that goes for everything. You know what I'm saying? For the people that makes games on PC and mobile. So I understand the microtransactions issues and stuff like that, but I think that's just for money purposes. That's another discussion.
I think people drill down a little too far on that stuff versus looking at the big picture. And I always try to like take a step back and look at the big picture of what the industry is trying to do. What are the benefits to you as a gamer? I think a lot of people do act in fear, and I get it. But that's, there's more to it than that. And I think with Phil in general, like I think, he's been with Xbox since the beginning. So when he started doing PC things, he's not trying to kill Xbox. He's not trying to make your console go away. Like, that's not what he's trying to do. when he's trying to do xCloud, he's not trying to make your console go away. And I've had this stance before, like even Microsoft came out and said the same similar things that I've said, right? There's going to be a market for streaming, and we're going to get into that, and there's going to be a market for consoles, there's going to be a market for PC. But we want to see, I think the industry wants to see growth in all those places, in all regions, not just one. So
yeah. So why don't we just get into the good segue? Let's talk about game services. For one. All right. This will be something I definitely want to talk about on GRG and get those guys' thought process. But this thing really, it bothers me. Now there's certain things that a lot of the talk that goes around, the normal stuff. Xbox got no games. The Metacritic scores, sales numbers. That stuff never bothers me because it just doesn't. I just think it's silly talk. It's kind of like high school, or no, I'm not saying high school. That's junior high, preschool, just schoolyard talk. Yeah, it's better than yours. That type of craziness.
That's a typical insecurity. Like you buy something because you want to buy it, and now you're looking for approval from others.
Right? Yeah. But with the game services thing, right? I know, and see, me and you, here's one of those things to where we're on different sides. Yeah, we're on the different sides of it. I find it to be absolutely refreshing that I had the option to go ahead and pick a game that I was interested in wanting to play that I haven't been interested in playing for a few years now, which was Call of Duty, and I've been no-lifing it. So it's been like, because I was anticipating that this was going to be like that resurgence for me for playing it online. I haven't even started the story. I've been just nothing but online, and I have had a blast. And it's taken away from Gears, and it's taken away from me from playing.
But it is that time of year, man.
Yeah.
That's what happens. It's just one game after the other, right?
But I'm having a blast. But the thing with Game Pass, it gave me the option to decide, okay, I'm already signed up for Game Pass. They have Outer Worlds right there. Now, if it wasn't on Game Pass, I would have bought Outer Worlds and I would have been pleased with it, but I would have put that back because those type of games, I wait for a certain time to when I know that I have plenty of time to just go all in. And, like I said on next podcast, I put on my Snuggie. Yeah, I don't have a Snuggie. I really don't. But I just I wiggle my toes and put on the Snuggie and just get down to playing some deep RPG games, right? Game Pass gave that option to where I could buy COD, and I could do that because I have other responsibilities I need to take care of. So how can anybody knock that or talk bad about those things? Why is it that people try to have this stance of like, I'd rather pay full price for something when in essence you're still helping that company by being subscribed to that service that they are providing for you?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So I guess there's different ways to look at it. So I prefer to consume my games differently. Mm-hmm. I like to know that I actually own the game. It's my I'm buying a license. You don't really own the game, so even I understand that, especially in my position. But, I own the license. I can download it, install it, play it whenever I want, right? Now, Game Pass, sometimes those things pop in, sometimes they pop out. I don't have a lot of time to play the games I always want to play. If I had more free time, I think I would find more value in the service. And doesn't mean it's a bad service. It doesn't mean it's not a service I wouldn't recommend to other gamers, right? People have to look at their wallet and see what makes the most sense. And this is where I kind of feel like things are going is people are going to have options, different ways to consume their games. And that these bring additional revenue streams and starts lowering the risk of developing games, right? Like, because what it is you develop a product and you hope in that first 6 months that product does amazing, right? And then hope the sales don't die off, but most of the time it does, right? Mm-hmm. Well, now you have continuous revenue streams. Some people are going to buy it, some people are not. Like myself, like I'm probably not going to renew Game Pass, but doesn't mean I'm not going to buy games because of the service. Probably am going to buy games because of the service, because I'm going to be missing out on those games when I no longer have the service, right? And and maybe when something's really good in there, maybe I'll pay for 3 months and do a little refresher and then hop back out. So people are just gonna they're gonna be, it's like forever green, right? Like they're gonna be they're just gonna do Game Pass, and that's part of how they're gonna consume games at all times. And then some people are just not that way. I think that there's a great revenue stream for developers, and it's optional for developers. Developers don't have to sign up for the service, so if they don't feel like the service is working out for their game, they don't have to be there, right? So I think it's great that it's better to have these options for gamers and developers as a platform provider than it is not to have the option at all, to be honest with you. So
yeah, and this is something that's okay. So the whole argument about game services, like especially Game Pass, because that's the little hot topic, is that Xbox is not generating enough revenue. Like they're losing money, and then I go back and I look at something like let's say Amazon Prime. Okay, Amazon Prime, you have some people that will pay the $60 for the 60 to I'm sorry, it's $90. It's $90 to $100 for the year service, right? And they get Amazon Prime for free. Okay?
Yes.
And then there's other people that pay a monthly fee for Amazon Prime because they I don't want to pay that $100. Or there's also another option where you can pay it, but you can pay payments throughout the year. Like every quarter or something like that, right? And I look at something like the show The Boys. You don't see The Boys out in video. You don't see it on you don't see a ultra 4K Blu-ray disc. So
well, I'm sure that eventually we'll sell it, but that's the thing is, though, it's another avenue.
But how is that making money?
Exist?
Yeah, but that's the thing. But when people be asking these questions about with Game Pass or these services, how are they making money with it? But I mean, just got to look at this with Netflix and things like that. You're only paying a certain amount of money, but when you look at their revenue, and then you look at and look at these, especially the things that make people come back and stick with those companies, stick with those services, the show like The Boys, it's already going through its production of the second season. And so and then they're putting in more money into Netflix. I know that Netflix went through some financial woes, but that's because I think they spent so much money into gathering all these shows. I mean, trying to make all this original content, and now I guarantee you they're going to recoup all that money back, because I'm going to be watching The Witcher. I'm going to be watching this, and half of that stuff is not going to be on video. Or well, I should say video, but on DVD or hard disk for people to put into their people be mostly streaming it. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. If you can't see how these companies are making money off of these services, I don't see why people think that it's different with gaming. It's pretty much the same thing, right?
Well, I mean, some things, yeah. You can see the parallels. I think ultimately what you're seeing in gaming, and what people don't understand, they're doing the math. They're well, if they sold this many instead of just giving away on Game Pass, they would have been making more money here, right? But you gotta remember, they didn't come up with this business model with a snap of a finger, right? They did models. They're what's the potential growth? Where do we need to be in order to make this profitable for not only for ourselves and all the partners? And keep in mind, they did it very much on the low side of things. They're guaranteed 100 games. How many games are in Game Pass right now?
Oh,
it's not 100.
I thought it was more games
way more than 100.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot more games in Game Pass.
Yeah, so if you want to judge the health of Game Pass, that's another indicator that it's doing quite well, right?
Right.
And people want in on the deal. Developers want in on the deal. And so what Microsoft is trying to do, they're trying to do several different things. Obviously, they want to bring in more revenue and they want to be more profitable.
Right.
And they may be, going in a little low with, what profit they're doing so they can grow the service. So it becomes something you're dependent on, if that makes any sense. So say if you're a developer, and what prevents EA doing its own, EA, it's probably not a bad example, because they have, EA does have a service on Xbox, but let's say what keeps Activision from doing something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Activision is not the go-to place for people to get that sort of content at that value, right? So you become the de facto go-to place for that sort of stuff. And so they just want to push that growth. And that's kind of what they're trying to accomplish there.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not trying to get all the sales with Gears. Maybe it's more important to grow Game Pass for them at this particular moment in time. And they know they will make the sales on Gears on the back end, right?
Right.
But the reality is the revenue is being created. And here's the other harsh reality is Microsoft has been playing with these different business models for a lot longer than people realize. Really, at the beginning of this generation, they were doing that. If you look at Halo, right?
Right.
People always kind of think it's not as successful as the other ones. Actually, it's probably just as successful, if not more successful than the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the same amount of sales, roughly, through the lifetime of the game. And then you're also dealing with more revenue because of, now it's all loot box type stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rec pack system. But that generated more revenue right off the bat for them. So
yeah, I mean,
that was totally optional. I loved.
They hit record profits in less than a week.
Yeah, and I like the rec pack system personally myself.
I think fantastic. Yeah, it was proper. Yeah.
I wish Gears used that system for theirs. For 4 and 5.
I think Gears should have just went back to the loot boxes because this new way. Listen, they listened to too many people complain and bitch. Yeah. And now the people that are complaining and bitching now, they were the ones that was complaining about the loot boxes, and now they're like, well, you should have just kept the loot box system. Well, come on.
Well, I never complained about the loot box system. I actually liked it, and I've always
because you had an option to buy whatever you wanted to buy.
I've always been a stark promoter of those sort of things because what happens is
you're a
people that want to spend the money, right.
Right.
It's that you're not being forced to. You're not being that stuff's not being withheld to you. You own the game. You can earn it through playing the game, right? You are also generating value to that developer by basically populating the game itself, right? Because that has inherent value as well. So, it just basically the people that have the money are subsidizing, additional profits for the game so they can invest more into the next game they go down the road. So, I'm actually a big component of loot boxes or other means to do that sort of thing. I don't like some of these level up systems that I'm seeing recently. And this is something I warned people about, right? I said, look, if you're going to complain about this, they're going to find their way to make their money somehow, some other way. You may not like what those replacements are. And now you start to see some people start going, maybe the other thing wasn't too bad. But it's kind of a split mix of how people feel about it, though.
No, and I agree with that. See, this is the thing that trips me out. Like, all this stuff is optional. The Game Pass is not forced on you.
No.
So if you want to, and this is the thing for me. Like I said this a couple of weeks ago. I feel justifiable for having Outer Worlds. Playing Outer Worlds off of Game Pass because I bought Gears. I bought the ultimate version of Gears, outright. I just said no. I'm going to support Gears, and then I at the time I was kind of like, hey man, that COD is over here looking pretty nice, and then of course I played it at E3, but Breakpoint wasn't something that I was like I could get that later on, but I went ahead and I played that demo and I was like, and I played it at E3 and I said, you know what? I'm going to risk it all. So I bought the $100 version of it. And so then it came to the point to where, what do I want to do with some of the games that's coming up?
And you're no different than any other gamer, right? You look at what you plan on spending on games.
Exactly.
And you're like, this area is the area where I save money.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spend more money in these areas. Guess what? You just spent probably more money than you originally were going to do with Microsoft.
Exactly.
Believe it or not, in all these third-party deals, and you paid for Game Pass,
Yes.
which they're collecting on you monthly, regardless if it's, let's say most people are collecting them on a monthly, right?
Right.
So I mean, there's value there, and this is something else I talked about, like, now once it becomes part of your monthly budget, your Game Pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you start thinking differently. Hey, I want to pick up this game. I don't know if it's going to be on Game Pass or whatever, and you just kind of forget about this, money that you're spending there, and you start buying other games because you start thinking about it differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a high value way to get consumers to spend more money with the brand, right? You're getting value for what you're putting into it, and that's all consumers should have to worry about. Am I getting value for what I put into it? Developers, all they care about is, am I going to get a return in my investment that I spent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to, am I going to take a bath by doing this? And I think, how many people are in Game Pass, it kind of shows that they're on board.
Right.
They're all about it. So
yeah, and then see again, like that. This is what's so fascinating to me, because you have these certain people that wants to downplay and talk about money. They want to talk about the company's pockets, and then they could be going to, because this is a thing, and people could look at games that they want to buy off of PlayStation, and then they could go red box it. Like, oh man, I can't wait to play Spider-Man. How long is that? Woo! I can go ahead and I can get it on red box, and I can keep it for a couple of days, or maybe I can pay a little bit extra if I really get into the game. You see what I'm saying? So what's the difference? Like, if you're going to go red box it, or if you're going to...
and then Sony makes sales off selling that stuff to Redbox, right?
Exactly.
And then Redbox makes all the additional revenue from there. And, if you look at it, 2 Redbox games, guess what? That pays for your Game Pass for that month.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is you have a much bigger library.
Up to 200 some games to play. So that again, it's a win. Like, I've never seen anybody go anywhere else and complain about paying less on any products out here. So why? Yeah. So why
I just hate the fact I have to go to a Redbox, right? Why do you even go to Redbox? You just download it.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying. You don't have to, with Xbox. You ain't got to do the Redbox. You can go ahead and you can just pay your dollar.
You just go to the Xbox, right?
Yeah, and then just load it up and get it done. Like, or if you got a gaming PC, then you could go ahead and you could do that. Now, you won't get as many games, of course, because they don't have as many games. They're just now starting. But it's one of those things, like, man, like, gamers want to try to act cheap at one point, and then, I mean, well, the reality is, gamers want to try to act like that they're high sedity and can have their pinky up, and they could buy and feel that everybody should buy and choose what they want to at high dollar. But in reality, gamers are cheap.
I mean, they're no different than any other consumer, though.
Right. Like, but I mean, that's the reality. Like, it annoys me. That's why I say this topic, the topic, it doesn't annoy me, but the point about, you try to have people to be snobs and try to act like they got their pinky up, and then they buy every game at full price, at full price, or every Ultimate Edition. Stop lying. Stop frauding the public. You wait for a sale just like everybody else if that game isn't the game that you aren't dead set on buying. That's to me.
You pay for something when you feel like it has value to you.
Yeah.
And that's how that works.
Yeah.
That works how it works with every consumer. And this has come from somebody that makes a living doing this stuff, right? And I have no problem with that. Like, our job is to put out a product. Developers' jobs are just simply to create a product, put a product for the free market, and you guys decide it's a free market if that's something you want to purchase or you're not, or you find value in it when it goes into a service like Game Pass, or let's say PlayStation Now for people that are on the PlayStation platform, or or you want to buy it, or you want to buy it digitally later when it, let's say when it's a reduced price, because you notice it's on sale and whatever it may be. And I just that's the thing, is I just want gamers to continue to give games a shot. And I like the fact that these services allows these games to find their audience too. That's the other thing.
Right.
Sometimes really good games get overshadowed by another really good game.
Mm-hmm.
Because
and by word of mouth too, because some people, like, because of how, like, maybe the media or just in general, that there's people that other people listen to and they feel that they're trustworthy about a game, and maybe that person that they listen to never even touched the game. They just go by somebody else's take, and then if that person actually eventually just kind of come across that game on a sale or something like that, and they're like, man, that game was really good. Mm-hmm. Then you know what I mean? Like, Game Pass gives you all those options. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's
guess what? Let's say if you didn't like it. Let's think about that from that perspective.
Oh, yeah.
So you go on Game Pass and you download a game, and it's like, man, I just didn't like that game. Mm-hmm. It wasn't my thing. It wasn't my cup of tea, right? Mm-hmm. Guess what? You're not pissed. You didn't spend $60 on it, right? You spend whatever it costs for Game Pass. You found another game that you liked, and you moved on, and you start talking about the game you liked. Right. That is a net positive for the industry. Does that make sense?
Oh no, that's
and
perfect.
And the person that's going to like that game that you disliked, hopefully that finds those people that game is meant for, right? And that's how I kind of look at all this stuff. It's like, there's no time in gaming as of now that you don't have more choices, better products, and better value.
Mm-hmm. Now, okay, so
Chris, not a lot to complain about. To be honest,
Chris likes his name to be brought up. So on this one, I have to bring your name up on this one. He says Game Pass is a rental service.
Sure.
Okay. Did you ever shop at? Did you ever go get your games at Blockbuster Video?
Yeah.
Did you ever go get your games at Hollywood Video?
Yep.
People in the chat, please let me know. Did you, because some of you guys are most likely probably younger than us. So, I mean, did your parents ever go to take you to Blockbuster Video or to Hollywood Video or to your local video store and go rent a game?
Do you remember how much it cost for you to rent a game?
Yeah, I remember. It was like, it was to rent. It was according what kind of game it was. Okay, there was a place.
Yeah, so it's like a new release, like a newer console. Yeah. Usually they were a little bit more, right?
Yes, and if the more popular the game, the more it was. So at the place where I went to first was Video Haven, the one before Blockbuster came and then bought it. It pretty much pushed those poor people out. But they had. I remember I got Bio Billy at it was a Nintendo game. And I got Bio Billy, and Bio Billy wasn't a popular game, and it was like $3.99 to rent for 2 days.
Damn, that's cheap.
Yeah, it was cheap.
You want to know how much it cost me to rent games growing up? Most places, $8 in California.
Well, okay, but that was the point that I was going to make. Okay, so like a game like okay, because Super Mario came with your Nintendo, but if you wanted to play with a game like, let's say, Ninja Gaiden or with the Turtles game, it was like $7 to rent, and and they only had like 2 or 3 copies. So
and it got a little bit more expensive as it went on.
As time went on, and then
the developer only made the initial sell on the initial games when they were new release, so they get full pop, like it's what it was. But what's different?
Shady already knew. He started having flashbacks. Right, $5 to $8 for 2 nights, 3 days. Exactly, and that was exactly.
But that's where I'm driving home.
Yeah.
It's a rental service, but it's a rental service that has more value than any other rental service that we grew up in.
Exactly.
Like and that's what I want to drive home. And then also, it probably has way more value to developers too. They get continuous revenue. I don't know all their contracts, right? But as far as I know, they get revenue per month. They get their cut, right? So, they're happy with it. And if a developer's not happy with it, guess what? They don't have to re-up. They just pull it
Right.
out.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, how can anybody be big? This is why it trips me out. Like when I see Supersonic, um, go crazy and start talking about try to throw his jabs at gaming services and all this, but then yet tout for everything pro VR. I'm like, you're a hypocrite. I got love for my boy, but I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you talking about?
Well, here's the thing: if you want to buy your
Stop.
games, that's not going
Yeah.
away.
No, it's not going to go away. That's the thing. The games are going to be
Can
available
you
for
imagine
you.
this? Can you imagine they'll go and saying, "Hey, you know what? Got Game Pass. We don't need to sell games anymore." Right?
Then
Can you imagine how that conversation would go?
Okay,
Be like,
but
oh
hold on.
hell no.
Yeah, it would be a hell no. But hold on, this is the thing though. If that would ever to happen, which I know that's where some of the people that fear because of this, they fear
Yeah,
this because
that's why they have that stance.
that's the
right?
way how they stance. Right. If that ever happened, that means that the consumer made that decision, not the company. The company is only going to go as far as the consumer will take them. So again,
I mean,
that's
what
just the truth.
what does it cost them to offer a consumer digital?
Oh, who the company?
Yeah, what does it cost Xbox to offer a consumer something digital versus offering something on Game Pass?
Oh, I'm assuming that it's going to cost them. It's going to cost them more.
Cost the consumer or cost Xbox?
No, cost Xbox.
It's probably going to cost Xbox more to do.
That's what I'm saying.
The service, right?
Oh, you talk about this. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's not profitable or anything like that.
You threw me off. You threw me off. I'm over here. I'm drinking. Stop it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They're not going to say no to $60. They're not going to do it.
No,
it's never going to happen.
No.
So that's what I say. Like, because of digital, it never is going to go away.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Look, okay, it's just like with the CD. The CD is pretty much dead because of everybody's going with digital music, but you still have the option to buy digital music, but a lot of people, what do? Like my old lady, she'll go ahead and instead of her buying albums, she'll just go ahead and get pay for a service to stream the music. So that's what I'm saying. Like for some of these people that they really, you just got to check their backgrounds with things. If you're one of those people that don't want to buy albums, because I buy albums, I'm kind of a stickler about that. I want to purchase the album itself, and I don't want to nitpick and just buy one or two songs. I want that whole album. Just for nostalgia purposes, for when I get older and I could go back and then, like I can say, this album sucked. But this song was the hottest song on this album. That's just me. But with the service, I refuse to touch that because I'm like, I'd rather just go ahead and get my music that way. But I don't complain when my old lady wants to just buy. I mean, just go ahead and
do a
pay
monthly
for the
service.
Yeah, do a monthly service so she can play whatever that she wants to. That's the thing. Like, how is it that it's so different with video games when everyday life, everything is pretty much going this same direction?
Well, that's the thing too. You understand, and she understands that you may possibly lose connection,
right?
And that's the trade-off of that service. I mean, she's not naive to that point, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not like you're naive to the fact that maybe there's some additional value just to stream it, right? Versus owning your own license on all those on all those forms of music, right? So, that's just kind of how it goes. Like, they're never going to take the option away from buying something, right? The record companies make more money off you buying stuff, but they're not going to say no to free money, right? And that's what the streaming service is, right? That's this additional revenue stream that just coming on through. And that, I mean, that actually honestly leads into other services, right? We're on the cusp of more and more people doing cloud streaming as an option for games, right? And realistically, I look at it this way. There's no way streaming is going to replace physical hardware. it just can't happen. It just, there's physics and science that you just can't get around, right?
No, right.
And you take control away from gamers, and it's the number one thing they get frustrated or upset. But is it a viable option for some gamers? And that's the question you got to ask, right? And I think it is. I think if they can get consistency in the latency, right? So the latency doesn't spike up and down. And you can get an option for those people. So those people might use it as an alternative or a supplement. Some people may use it as their main form. But the people that are really console gamers, they're not going away. They're going to continue to do console. And honestly, cloud computing, it's not a bunch of pixies that render that stuff. It's actual hardware. And looks like the game plan for Microsoft is to take the physical hardware that we're going to be able to purchase and put it in their data centers. That's their business model, right? And so that, from a developer standpoint, I only have to develop for their hardware. I don't have to develop some very specifically for their cloud-based stuff like you would have to do with Stadia, or you have to do with, well, another one I can't talk about right now, but there is another one that's not out there in the public,
which shows that obviously the market is going this route because obviously there are people that are willing to pay to have it.
Yeah, exactly. Just additional revenue streams, and this is the way I look at it. Like I know so many people I know that don't. Even streaming gives them the option to get their feet wet again, right? Mm-hmm. Keeps them from disappearing from the ecosystem. And this goes for PlayStation and both Xbox, right? Let's say like a Gears and a God of War, right? Those are both excellent games. But that may not be something they could rationalize just buying a whole piece of hardware. So what do? They pay for the streaming service, either buy the license, play the game, and they're done. Now, that might be the very thing that reels them back in. They go, well, yeah, this is fun, but there's a better experience to be had, right? And they'll buy a PC or they'll buy the console from that particular brand, and so that's going to help with that. But that's all about growing that pie, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing I look at too is multiplayer is kind of an issue within gaming. Every iteration of multiplayer games splits that current pool of gamers that are out there. Because some people don't live, for example, some people won't leave the older Call of Duties, for example, right? Mm-hmm. As the new ones are released. And so each time a multiplayer game or a new hotness comes out, it really splits that player base more and more and more, right? So you need to grow that pie. It's important for online game more than anything else that we need to grow that pie. This is the reason why crossplay needs to be a thing, and we're starting to see more of it now, right? Mm-hmm. Is this the same pool of gamers is not going to be enough in the long term, and so you have to have these alternative means for people to be able to game. And then I think honestly too, you have to handle responsibly. I think better matchmaking is the solution for cross-platform play for a lot of gamers, because it's about matching up your skill with individuals, not necessarily the player the controller input, right? So it'd be mouse, touchpad, streaming device, controller, whatever it may be, right? It should be based on what that player can actually do under that profile. Not just saying, hey, he's on a mouse, he's automatically going to be good, because that's necessarily true. You get where I'm saying with that?
Yeah, no, I got exactly what you're saying. You're right. I mean, look, we're going to go ahead and get ready to go to the next topic, but I just find it crazy. I seen Cletus, me and Cletus don't really normally agree on everything, but I will say this. He says, you rent your house, you don't own it. I love Game Pass. Somebody owns the house though. Give me your rent. But yeah, that's an option.
It's not going away.
It's not going away. Like rent houses is not going to go away. You know what I'm saying? Buying a house is not going to go away. So the thing of it is that you have some people that will go, and if their credit's not right, and they'll get it together one way or another, so they can get to that point to where they can buy a house. Or you got people that just wants to not have that obligation. To me, it's kind of like with the PC. It's like when you rent, you're not viable for a lot of things that you would if you was a homeowner. Because if you was a homeowner and let's say that your air conditioner unit goes out, you can't call a landlord and say, hey, I got to get this shit taken care of. That's on you, Jack. So you're going to have to, you know what I'm saying? So
I'm in the same boat right now. My dryer went out.
Right.
So I have to either fix the dryer or buy a new one, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
or just
and that's
like owning a car. If you know what I'm saying, you could, that's why, you know what I'm saying? Because that was one of the things that always threw me off about some people. Like, why do you always, like, you'll have a car and you'll have it almost paid off, but then you trade it in for a new car. Shit, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Look, I may have to, my insurance is low because I keep doing it. And two, I ain't got to have the responsibility of when this motherfucker breaks down, I can go ahead and just take the car, let them have the car back, or they can go ahead and fix it and I ain't got to pay nothing.
And that's why they have leases.
Exactly.
That's why they have used car lots. Like, that's the thing we're talking about the free market, right? We're not talking about a dictatorship in regards to that. Right. So Microsoft is a business and they want to make money. How you make money is you provide products for the free market and let the free market decide what they want to do. And the fact is, and the reason why, and this proves the fact even more, how many times do we hear about people on the podcast, either people we know or people we're interacting with, that they constantly get in an argument about this subject? The reason why they get an argument about the subject, each one of them is a different type of consumer. That's the harsh reality. So if each one of these people are different types of consumers, it's beneficial for these platforms to find a way to obtain the money from each one of those consumers by offering a product that makes sense.
Right. And that's the thing with Game Pass. Like, it's not going to be for everybody, but it's a market that's huge, and gaming is an expensive hobby. Gaming is not a lifestyle. I mean, gaming can be a lifestyle, but for when you are a person that's on a budget, and there's a lot of people out there that's just doing what they can. They got to take care of their families. They got to take care of responsibilities. They're just trying to maintain what they can, and their only entertainment could be just gaming and watching Netflix. Or, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, look.
You pretty much described me.
Well, I mean, that's been a lot of us. Hell, you know what I'm saying? Look, I mean, I had to scrape. You know what I'm saying? There's times I still got to scrape. It's just one of those. You
got to plan out, right? Like, that's why I look forward to E3. Like, I always plan out what I'm gonna purchase it, and you know, if something I'm interested in later, I'll pick it up later. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I guess this is kind of a dead subject. I think it's a net positive. I think as time goes on, you know, the developers that don't feel like it's very profitable for them won't do it.
Exactly.
You know, and if Microsoft stops providing good content, stop purchasing the service, right? Mm-hmm. But if they continue to make great content or bring great content, enjoy it. Yeah. Ride that gravy train. Yeah. You know, as far as that goes. And you know, and let's get more gamers into gaming. This is just another entry point that brings more gamers in, brings more gamers back. Yeah. I call them lost souls, right? Like people that used to game but don't game as much anymore because the hobby got too expensive for them or other responsibilities took over. I mean, that's just kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah. So. Okay, so we're going to get to the next point, but I got to say this, though. I was asked, would I buy Outer Worlds if I beat the game? Probably not. Maybe. It's according how long the game is. If the game is really long... Well, this is the thing for me. If the game has DLC... Absolutely, because that's one of them things is that that's what I like. I like longevity of games. So if they decide that they want to try to drop some kind of DLC pack, maybe 6-7 months from now, I have no problem going and buying that game. But if I play it and I beat it while I still got it with Game Pass, no, there's no need for me to buy it because I've already played that single player experience. If it's a multiplayer game, I'm copping it. Because I know that I can always go back to that game. So, all right. Let's talk about the future of gaming. Now, there was something that was put out. Let me go ahead and see if I can find that again. There we go. All right. So it says Sony Interactive Entertainment trademarks PlayStation 6, PlayStation 7, PlayStation 8, PlayStation 9, and PlayStation 10 in Japan. Sony secures short name for potential future PlayStations. So it also says that Sony Interactive Entertainment has filed trademarks for those all those PlayStation PS names in Japan, likely as security for future PlayStation platforms. This sort of trademark security is regular occurrence for Sony. Here's the history of PlayStation trademarks in Japan. PlayStation, they trademarked it in 2000. Released in 1994 in Japan, because we didn't get it until 95. PlayStation 2, they did it in 99. PlayStation 3, 2005. PlayStation 4, 2006. PlayStation 5, they did this in 2006 as well. So, Don, what does this mean to you? What does that say?
It means two things.
Yeah.
Prevents Soldier Boy coming out with a console and calling it PlayStation 7.
See, I didn't even know that you was going to do that. That's hilarious.
But that's what it's there, right? It's there
right.
to protect the PlayStation brand name.
Mm-hmm.
Because whatever, we got PlayStation 5 coming around the corner, right? Well, what prevents someone from saying, well, hey, they forgot about this trademark. Man, we're going to do a PlayStation 6.
Not you said Soldier Boy. That is funny as hell.
But you get what I'm saying. Like those kind of, you know.
You're right, though. You're right.
You know, this knockoff consoles that, you know, that he's selling, right? That's pretty much just a Raspberry Pi in a plastic box. So, I mean, that being said, it prevents that from happening. So it protects the legacy of the brand along those lines. Also, what it also does is it shows that they're serious about continuously doing hardware, and this comes down to what I've been saying, right? Mm-hmm. I think streaming is going to be a viable service for people, you know, both on the PlayStation side and on the Xbox side of things,
right? And Nintendo.
Well, I'll see where Nintendo always keeps me guessing, so I'm not sure where to place my bets with those guys, right?
Right.
But you know, we at least know what's going on with those guys. But it doesn't mean hardware is going away. Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense.
And people are starting to understand this. And this is what I've said. Like, you know, with, for example, xCloud, it's going to come around the corner. And I think also PlayStation Now is going to get a rebranding around the E3, you know, is my guess, as they move everything over to Azure and kind of do a relaunch of it. Mm-hmm. Is my guess going into the next generation. I think people are going to try streaming, and then you're going to have to figure out what is it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Because everyone's going to have a different experience with the product, depending on where they live, where their connection is, all that other stuff, and they're gonna frame what it is and how it fits in their gaming lifestyle, right? However, if you look at it on the Microsoft side of things, guess what? They're putting in server Xboxes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think their roadmap is to continue to put Xboxes in there? I would say so. That's willing to be the safe bet. That's the business model. And I wouldn't be surprised if Sony does something similar going forward. I don't know how that's going to work with sticking hardware that Microsoft doesn't have complete control over into their server racks, because I know they're very protective of Azure and what hardware goes in there. But you know, I can see that going that route down the road. And then what that does, it also makes it more viable to produce hardware, because now that it's not just pulling from the same amount of, like, say, 200 million gamers throughout the whole entire generation, you're now reaching possibly even a bigger audience. And then when those units are not basically playing games, they can rent out that compute power to other enterprise sectors, right? And make money off those consoles that are sitting stagnant in their racks. So, I mean, there's a reason for it. And then again, you're going to see a lot of them out there. They're going to try, and there's going to be a few that will stick around at the end of the day. So
yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's just all this fear and this doom and gloom. I said this with Pred and Lemon and at Livewire earlier today or yesterday evening, is that, look, I think now it's beginning to, I hope, you know what I'm saying, because I know that there's some people that just likes the banter, the spectacle of the console war aspect. But and another thing, I think that there's a lot of people that believe some of these people that are now starting to see that the narratives have starting to change, even for the people that were so strongly thinking that it didn't. That is choking. It's about to choke them out. Like they're just
a
wrong.
lot of those
like,
narratives were generated by the fans, right? They weren't generated by the companies themselves.
Exactly.
And so what they did is they put themselves out there, not really understanding what's going on around the corner, and made assumptions. And those assumptions are probably why they like the brand, or made them even a little bit more invested in the brand. But my thing is people shouldn't fear it. They shouldn't fear these sort of changes. There are products that are made all the time that are not for you as a gamer, right? And for example, turn-based RPGs, not my cup of tea. I never enjoyed a single one of them. But does it threaten my first-person shooters? Does it threaten my third-person action games? Does it does it do all that sort of stuff? No, it doesn't. Battle Royale, it can be fun every once in a while. But does it threaten every game type that I want to play? No. I'm still going to get the games that I want to do. I mean, look at Call of Duty, for example. They did a Battle Royale one year, and they're like, well, got to do a campaign, right? Going into, because they realize where their bread is buttered. And so, I mean, more options for more gamers. I just see such a positive future going forward. And to me, I want to see more gamers in the market. It's such an important thing. And it's such an important thing to be able to reach out in both different game types and different means to do so. I mean, maybe I'm talking a little bit in a circle, but that's just how I honestly feel about it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We don't have to dwell on that too long. I just think that it's just evident right there, even though it showed the trademark for just PlayStation, but it's already been stated from Phil Spencer himself that the Xbox console will continue as well. Everybody just look. I've said this numerous times. I'm going to say it one more time before we get to the last topic. Is that gaming is very expensive. The gaming is getting more expensive than ever.
It's getting more expensive to produce.
Right?
It's not
simple.
It's not as much as it once was, like each generation, because like the way games are developed now are pretty much the same way they were developed in the 360 generation. Going into the next slew of hardware, they're going to be produced exactly the same way they are now, with just more tools in the tool chest. And so that's what I would keep in mind in regards to that. So it is more expensive, but don't you want developers to take more risks? Don't you want more games out there, more different types of games out there?
Absolutely.
Developers
to take more risk? Yeah.
Don't you want them to push different things instead of to keep doing the same thing? That's why. I mean, I guess this is what circles through everything you're seeing in all these changes. That's to make sure all this stuff is healthy across the board. So.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. So, all right. Yeah, no, that was just great discussion, man. I love what's up with you, Mr. Kimo. What's going on with you, everybody, man? Sleepy Goblin, Cletus, Texan Lean, So Shady in here. Yeah, So Shady has made it evident that he loves the dev and the gamer like that. Phase. Of course, Christopher Hart, he's over here now. After we called him out, he's over here wanting to be loyal to the squad. Get out of here. Anyway, now much love for you being up in here, man. The Blue, just so many of you guys out here. I know that I haven't got a chance to get to name everybody, but I know I've seen Rain up in here too, Rain 84. But just. They said that it was not going to end, and the one thing that I also said was too is that it's just like with the Gold Game Pass thing. The market, the consumer will dictate what will happen. You know what I'm saying? So if the consumer is like, I always want a console, then there always will be a console. Yeah. So that's why
but even in the cloud stuff, I mean, it's not rendered by Pixies. They have to actually have physical hardware. Right. So, and then it's always a push to make that stuff run more efficiently, have more power, with the space that you're taking up and the power you're taking up. So there's always a push for that stuff to continue to grow too.
Yeah.
Right? Like in a lot of ways, cloud ensures that we're going to continue to get more consoles. I know that sounds a little counterintuitive to people, but you got to keep in mind, cloud's not a magical thing. Hardware goes in there, and they have to find a way to render that stuff. And they always have to find ways to make that stuff more efficient. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's the way I look at it. But you pay for the experience you want to have and that's how that experience is delivered to you.
Exactly.
So
you're totally right. All right, last topic, and that is Death Stranding. So something that I was going to just start the show with, but I don't know. I mean, I said a whole bunch at the show earlier. So and for the people that didn't listen to what I would like what we said earlier today or last night or whatever, I just kind of looked at it like I've always looked at it. I don't have a problem with Death Stranding going to the PC. If I was if I was a PlayStation fan or any PlayStation fan going to the PC, I would look at this as a positive, because now what you look at as a game, because listen, this is my thought about it. If this game could be Game of the Year, it could wind up being the best game that's ever been made. I don't know, but the point of the matter is it's still, I don't think that this game would gravitate to the casual audience. I think that this game is going to be too way out there for them to really rationalize. That's why I say gaming services like Game Pass would be fantastic for a game like this. And I think let's say PlayStation Now was like Game Pass. I
swear this is my gameplay.
Which one? This is my gameplay. Look,
sure.
Yeah, you don't play.
I played this game.
You ain't played. Call of Duty Infinite.
Check my receipts. I played this one.
Did you say check your receipts?
Check my receipts. Check my gamer tag.
Thanks, Texas Lean. Yeah, we about to wrap it up here too after this topic, but I just, for me, yeah, thanks for stopping by, man. That's the thing. It bothers me. It's like, why would anybody be upset? Like, that was the thing that stressed me out. There was PlayStation fans that went all out by going after PlayStation, which you rarely see, by going after Sony, by saying, look, I'm not buying this game. I canceled my pre-order just because of the fact that it's going to PC. So you're telling me that this game that potentially could not resonate with a lot of casuals and have the opportunity to still do well if it goes to other platforms or whatever that you want to call it, don't you want a sequel if you're so hyped for this game? And that to me is like, you guys are frauds. You're not a real gamer. I would never cancel anything that I preached that I loved. That's just not something that I'll do. I think that that's just one of those things where people try to pretend like they are a super fan of something and they never was interested in the first place, and then they're looking for a cop out so they can save their fucking money. I think they're frauds and should never be listened to and never supported, because that's not what true gamers are. What do you think about the whole Death Stranding thing?
Well, I think from the audience that are out there, I mean, people that watch our podcasts and other podcasts, I'm not going to ever tell people who are not to listen to you.
Yeah, no,
I'm going
to say what it is. I know you're right. You're right. You were different, but I'm just saying. I think it's disgusting.
But they do run a danger of contradicting themselves, right?
Right.
And that's, and you guys that are watching this stuff, you have a choice of where you're going to watch your content and who you're going to listen to, and you keep having these, like, I don't know the best way to describe it, but you have these poor ways to represent themselves in regards that I think people are just shooting themselves in the foot and losing their voice. I've been talking about this for a while. I think a lot of gamers that had the ability to be heard are now screwing up their opportunities, right? And this is the way I look at it. I think you guys are screwing up your opportunity to be heard by Sony. I don't, they know that with making this move, they're going to piss off a couple gamers, right? And some of those gamers may be pissed and still buy the game. Some of those gamers might move on, but they look at the net loss and the net wins, and I think they look at it as it's going to be a net win in regards to that. Also, Kojima, that's part of the deal they had signed on. Didn't really talk about it until now, but this is not a decision that just happened yesterday. Right. This is a decision that happened, well in advance. So, I mean, does this mean every PlayStation game is going to have a similar deal? No, it's a case-by-case basis on that. I would say this is probably more indicative of what you'll see from a second-party dealership in regards to that. Because those developers feel like they have more ownership in their products. So, I mean, if you see more second-party deals from Sony, expect more of this, I would say. Not guaranteed, but I would expect more of that. If you don't see second party deals and it's all first party going forward, then you may not see this as much, and the form factor you'll see is more of a streaming service as an alternative option, because obviously Sony is investing in that. So
okay, all right. No, I mean, look, of course you're going to be professional about it. I think that, like I said, I think that those people that have touted games, and then now it's different if they just said, "Oh, well, there's something that I've seen about that game, and now I'm no longer interested." I wish the best for the game, or and I don't want anybody to not like the game because I've lost interest in it. Then that's different, because those things could happen. But to go out and to make a protest of like, oh, this game it's going somewhere else, and you're still benefiting Sony if you buy that game on PC or not. Why do people still think that this whole exclusivity thing is so important like that? If you are a PlayStation fan, an Xbox fan, a Nintendo fan, a PC fan, it's where you, the individual, wherever you go buy that game at that's your favorite place to play, that's where it's at. You know what I'm saying?
That's your business.
It's your business. It's that's why is it such a situation to where you get a conundrum where you feel that it means that it's the end of the console that you enjoy because it's going over there, going to PC.
I'm going to say this.
It's so silly.
I'm going to say this.
Silly.
Let's say every PlayStation title gets PC support. Mm-hmm. And we know at least every first party title from Xbox gets PC support.
Right.
I'm going to say right now, going into next wave of hardware here, mm-hmm. I guarantee you this next wave of hardware will sell more than this generation of hardware for both platforms.
Really? Well,
I don't think anybody's going to go backwards.
Do you think it's because of the fact of kind of like what I've been predicting, is that these consoles is going to be out a little bit longer than this gen?
It's a little bit of everything.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit of that. It's a little bit of the fact that the hardware is going to be put under our television. That hardware is going to be put in server racks. The streaming service is going to bring lost gamers back to gaming. It brings a lower entry, a different version. So, those gamers can either be on that form factor or going to be on other form factors. I predict heavy growth across the board as the industry, overly healthy. I don't really look at it as like also PlayStation is just going to suck next generation. I don't look at it that way. And I don't look at it that way for Xbox. The only one I'm a little bit concerned about with is Nintendo, just because they really heavily rely on portability. Mm-hmm. And I think streaming cuts into that a little bit, especially with newer phones and newer devices are going to be coming out down the road. So I see that cutting into that. But Nintendo finds a way to do some sort of gimmick going forward. You know what I mean? Yeah. You never know what those guys. So, that one's kind of the wild card. But I see Microsoft and both Sony growing.
Yeah.
And that growth may not look like what you guys think it looks like, but the revenue is going to be up at least.
Well, I don't care as long as it's growth. That's for the
yeah.
That's
I don't
for
see
the
I don't see
pocket
anything
chasers
going
out
negative.
there.
And I honestly to see hardware going up. To be honest with you,
Really?
I don't see it going negative. But that doesn't reflect badly on streaming either. I think overall it's going to be growth.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. All right, man. Well, Devin the Gamer, we've done it again. Great stuff, man. Where can they find you at, Don?
The best thing to do is follow me on Twitter. I'm trying to grow my Mixer channel.
You are mixing a lot, man. You are putting it out there.
Yeah, I am doing it now. I'm actually like, please follow me, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But follow me on Mixer. The best way to do it is through my link on Twitter. And I love interacting with people there when I'm actually playing games, that sort of thing. You catch me and Mega playing games together, that sort of stuff, and other people within the community. And the idea is I want to get to that partnership level just so I can get that better stream quality that the partners get. So hopefully that's the goal. I don't expect to get there overnight, but every bit of follow and retweet, that helps out. So I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And also I've been streaming more too, and I might have the possibility to where I can stream a lot more. We'll see here in the near future of how everything, if I have a little bit more time to get out and do certain things, maybe put out a couple of more videos, not a lot, because I'm not really all big into doing the news like other YouTubers are, to just throw the news out every day. It's just to me, it's like one of those things, like I could throw out a video damn near every day talking about something that could be changed within a month. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'll just wait. I love to talk about games, always will, but it's just one of those things. Also, a thing that me and Don is doing in assistance for the help of GRG and hopefully some of the people in next. Go ahead, Don. Go ahead and let people know.
We're talking about the merch?
The merch, yeah.
Yes. Merch is coming, guys. I want to get enough stuff in the merch store so it could sustain the merch store, because I have to put up the money up front to get it up and going. So Devin the Gamer stuff is ready as of right now. So if enough people are interested, I can just do like a soft launch of the Devin the Gamer stuff. It's just the logo from us as of right now. And I'll be introducing more stuff, and then the proceeds basically go to the people that are about. So Devin the Gamer is going to be split between me and Mega. Obviously, if I did something like some sort of design that was just about Mega, the proceeds would go to Mega for his E3 costs. The same thing with Xbox or anything, and then promoting it on the merch store. It basically goes to those individuals to help them go through E3 and give you guys more content. So.
Right, and you know what I'm saying. I you know me. I don't promote like that too. So I need to get my ass out there and start help promoting my people out there, the family of GRG, which Don is a part of GRG. That's why he's still on the on when we show stuff, because Devin the Gamer is kind of like that side thing with that, and then also like we linked up with next podcast, like that, like we're all a family, man. Like that's just the reality, man. And that's kind of like the thing. Like you know what I'm saying, I like to get out and want to try to mingle and mix with everybody, but the sad reality of it is that you just can't, because some people are just I can't say that, so I won't let me try. But there's other people that has agendas.
They don't have the best intentions.
Right, they don't have the best intentions. So I just like, look, man, I kind of like just try to stay in my lane, do what I do, and just associate with the gamers, man. So yeah, we definitely thank you for hanging out with us. Whenever the next Devin the Gamer comes out, we will definitely try to let you guys know, or if not, we'll come in like the thief in the night, and then we'll attack. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with us, man. So late.